listen to the podcast. Just search for Hancock and Kelley.
Looking forward to having like we said, a smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need.
Politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much.
4 years after Donald Trump refused to do it for him, President Biden graciously invited Mr. Trump to the White House to show America there will indeed be a peaceful transfer of power. And that's the way it went this time. The Democrats who are upset, there are Democrats who are upset with Mr. Biden for being so gracious to Donald Trump, considering that Mr. Trump would not do the same 4 years ago. He refused to invite now President Biden to the White House to demonstrate that transition. Also, in the past week, President-elect Trump has made multiple jaw-dropping cabinet picks, including now former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz for Attorney General, Fox News weekend host and military veteran Pete Hegseth as Defense Secretary, and Robert Kennedy Jr. as Secretary of Health and Human Services. Jane, Donald Trump may have won the election. You know, it's maybe considered a mandate election, a landslide victory. But is he already losing Americans who are giving him a second chance?
I mean, I specifically know Trump voters whose jaw did drop with Matt Gaetz. And I think that one's not getting through. I think there's just even too many Republicans that can't stomach him. I think one in Democratic circles and Republican circles that's getting a lot of eyebrows up is Tulsi Gabbard for CIA. I mean, we are in a dangerous time in this world. And, you know, we may have a CIA director that has no relationships with our allies. I mean, how can we remain safe if we have sort of this outsider and have someone who's running the CIA who can't even talk to other countries? So I think those two are the most dangerous. Are some of them a little strange? Yes. I mean, I believe, you know, having worked for an executive, that you let them have their appointments. You never know. But I think those two are just too much for people to stomach.
John?
Yeah, John Radcliffe's at CIA. Tulsi Gabbard's the Director of National Intelligence designee. You know, I like some of his picks. I dislike some of his picks. I don't know about some of his picks, and some of his picks are nuts. But here's what's happening in the country, and I really think this explains a lot. Over the course of the past decade, or maybe more, a amazingly high number of Americans have lost faith in our basic institutions. It might be justice in the FBI. It might be medical research, the way COVID was handled. It might be our domestic intelligence services, and that's on the right. On the left, we've lost faith in our institutions like policing, like the church, like the nuclear family even. And why is that? Because it's happening. And these picks are a direct result of people believing there's this deep state that's corrupt. Now look, there are bad people in all of those entities, but the entities themselves are not fundamentally corrupt. But when a whole lot of people believe that, it's not healthy for democracy. Who does it benefit that a majority of Americans believe their system of government and their governmental institutions are broken? It benefits our foreign adversaries. And when you look at the penetration of social media by bad foreign actors, they've fomented an awful lot of this stuff, and it's not healthy for America, and it's bad for democracy.
We know the Trump White House will be working with Republicans in control of both houses of Congress. However, votes are still being counted with 5 races yet to be decided. The number is set in the Senate, a 53-47 Republican majority, a 6-seat edge, with South Dakota Senator John Thune being elected the new Senate Majority Leader, succeeding Democrat Chuck Schumer. Over in the House, Republicans will hold on to a slim majority. It's 218 to 212 now, 5 winners yet to be determined, and what will remain super tight majority for Republicans. It could be 1 seat, it could be 11, John. What do Republicans need to get done with control of the White House, both houses of Congress, in these next 2 years?
Well, I hope they'll pass.
On to that.
I hope they'll pass a good immigration bill to secure the border. I don't think it can all be done by executive order, and I hope that's high on the priority. John Thune is a really good choice for Majority Leader in the Senate. I've worked with him. He's very well respected. He's even-keeled. He's bright. He's committed to the country. He's a believer in the institution of the U.S. Senate. That was an excellent choice.
Republicans are on the hook now, aren't they? I mean,
They really are.
And on the clock.
And they are on the clock. And it's funny because he's 1 year away from being lame duck. And so this midterm, if he doesn't come through with the promises that he made, not only will Democrats, have a problem with him, but his own supporters will, and they're going to require things. And so this midterm could be a wild swing back. I mean, that we've been characterized by that lately with these wild swings back and forth. At some point, I hope we land a little bit more in the middle. But John Thune, I have to agree with you, is a better pick than could have been, and I think that could be a measuring force.
Look at how many times Congress control has turned over in the House and Senate in the last couple of decades. That historically is very rare.
Still to come on Hancock and Kelley, a group of St. Louis aldermen have a new plan for the NFL Rams settlement cash. And our quote of the week, something we all need to hear right about now, after monumental progress for a Ferguson police officer who was nearly killed in the line of duty.